Good evening. I am Dr. Gregory Salters, and I'm glad to be with you all this evening. This evening, we're going to be talking about a very famous book. It's talking about Who Moved My Cheese? Because if you all think about it, in today's society and everything that we're going through now, we are really in uncharted territory. We're going in things that we've never thought about before. We're dealing with things we've never had to deal with before, whether it's dealing with you and your kids going to school, whether it's dealing with your job, what's going on your job, how we're dealing with our jobs. I'm sorry. I am Dr. Gregory Salters, and welcome for joining us this evening. Today in society, we are dealing with all types of issues. Many of these things we've never dealt with before. You deal with some individuals that are making the best out of them, and we're pivoting in our careers. We're looking at things that are happening in society. We're looking at things that are happening with the elections. We're looking at things that are happening with the census. Many of these things we have really never dealt with at this level before. So as I was thinking about what is it that we could really share, what is it that we could really discuss and have a good conversation that could add value to all of us and help us go to that next level, perhaps give you a word of advice for some other individuals, perhaps something that you can kind of deal with and grow with on your own. I started thinking, what can we do to help us on our success journey? And what I like to do tonight, I've looked at a lot of books, I've looked at a lot of things that have helped me throughout my life, and some things that when I've had some times where I've had to pivot, whether it was pivoting from a major when I was in college at Florida A&M, I decided that I needed to pivot out of accounting and pivot to business administration. Whether it was dealing with pivoting from career standpoints, because sometimes we're in various careers and we have to pivot from those. But a lot of times it really depends on how strong that pivot is and what actually happens. Sorry about those technical difficulties. We are back. One of the things that we've talked about with our who moved my cheese, when you have technical difficulties, that can be part of your cheese that needs to be moved. So as we continue our discussion tonight, we're talking about our book, Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spence3r Johnson. And it has various characters in here. We're going to kind of walk through it, talk through it, and see what you all think about this particular book as we delve into it. So let me share this with us. As we're pulling it up so that we can find out exactly what it is that our books are dealing with. It will really help us get to that next level, because many times when we see pictures of something, those are the things that help us get to and learn from, because some are visual learners, some are auditory learners. And what we're trying to do is deal with all of our various types of learners so that we can kind of help everyone out through their success journey. So yes. Okay. One of the things that we're having slight technical difficulty here. When we're talking about the moving of the cheese, it has basically four characters that we're having in this book. We're having him, as you know, and as the opposite of him, you got the haw, and then you have sniff and you have scurry, which are these characters. And you have to wonder which one of the characters do you best fit with, and which one is it that you've been at different points in your life. Because many times we've gone through things in our lives and we're like, wow, how do I really navigate this? How do I deal with these particular changes that are occurring? And we start dealing with them. So as we move forward in this one, let's talk about these. The first one, who moved my cheese? As I stated, this is a book by Spence3r Johnson. Now, when you talk about it, the who moved my cheese, this model, you're dealing with 4 personalities, and you think about it in life, we have various types of personalities when we're dealing with all types of change. And we also have to look at it, many times we have to be more proactive than reactive. And many times in our lives, how many times have you dealt with individuals that are more reactive than proactive? And sometimes, have you ever been sitting in a particular area, you've been sitting in a job, you've been sitting in your classes, and you start noticing things changing around you? Are you quick to adapt to those changes, or are you rather slow and you're like one of the later ones to come into it? And sometimes we react later, kind of like I was in real estate. I bought high and sold low. That again is looking at the changes that are occurring out there. So when you look at life and you're having this maze and the change that goes on, we're going into life and you're having all of these different changes. You don't really know how you're going to get to some places. And it's kind of like when I was growing up, people just said, keep moving. And when you're on your job, do you stop and wonder what's going on? Or do you realize that this is a maze? How do you navigate it? This is where you come into play with your mentorship and sponsorship, because if you have mentors, they can help you navigate the maze of life, navigate the maze of your career. And then when you have those sponsors, they see that you're ready for the next challenge and they will sponsor you, or basically speak up for you going to that next level. Here's the first set of the agents. When you're talking about the agents of change, you're talking about sniff and curry. How many, and scurry, when you look at these, I want you to start looking at these characters and thinking about them. How do they apply to you? Do you know individuals that fall into these various characteristics? In life, are you more like sniff, where you seek change early, or are you more like scurry, moves into action very quickly? You're just moving and moving and moving. And this is one of the things you look at. Sometimes they say, when I was studying martial arts and studying with some Nuka-Shru Jiu-Jitsu, it's like you have to be quick to seize the opportunity. When you see an opportunity, you have to be quick to seize it. When you're in your business models, in your business, when you see an opportunity for whatever it is that you're bringing to market, are you quick to seize that opportunity, or do you wait and sometimes that ship has gone? Same thing in our careers. When things are happening right now, there are a lot of individuals, due to their pivots, are really taking advantage of things that are happening in society right now. But when you look at this as it goes in the book, it says 2 mice that were very active and ready for change once they entered the maze. They never got comfortable with their environment. Have you ever really just gotten comfortable with your environment and you're just sitting there and comfortable? It's kind of like the old adage, how do you boil a bullfrog? You don't put them in hot water, kind of like a pressure place on a job. You put them someplace, and as the pressure goes and as it gets warmer, they begin to boil themselves to death. That's how you boil a bullfrog. So you look at it, are you that type of individual where you put yourself into a situation and you stay there and stay there and stay there until it's too late? That's when we begin having issues of high blood pressure and other health issues. These 2 were not afraid to explore the unknown. They did not make false assumptions or analyze. Here's a second set of the characters. You had him and Han. So the first ones that you had sniff and scurry, and then you had the him and haw. So him, and how many times have y'all heard the old folks say you're just sitting around hemming and hawing? So hemming denies change because it might lead to something worse. They're like, man, I'm not going to change. I'm good enough with what I have. Then haw. Haw learns to adapt in time because he realizes it will lead to something better. So he's adapting, or she's adapting, because they know it's going to be something better. So can you see the changes here? Somebody is hemming, another one is hawing. What is it that you're going to do with your career? Because you look at it, who moved my cheese? And we're going to define that cheese in the metaphor as we go along. These are 2 intelligent little people who can rationalize. Their human tendencies made them become complacent and comfortable. So him and Ha are your human characters, and the Sniff and Scurry are your mice characters. So as we go along, let's see what it is that we're talking about. It him and Ha's stuckness. Their arrogance clouded their judgment. The cheese was their security status. How many of us have gotten so comfortable on our jobs that our income, our benefits, and just the comfort of not having to stress anything, it causes a certain arrogance. We're just comfortable there and we don't want to go out anywhere else. They were unprepared for changes happening around them. They were just there. They weren't going and getting more education. They weren't going and getting more classes. They were not joining organizations such as Noble, such as ICMA, such as NFBPA, such as the Black MBA, such as any of your organizations that would help them go further. They were just there, and therefore they were unprepared for the changes that were getting ready to come. So here it states, the more important your cheese is to you, the more you depend on it. So you have to watch it. Do not let that be what you're depending on. The next one, when you talk about him and Hall's flaws, they spent a lot of time over analyzing and blaming each other. I must say this is a transparency. I have definitely been a victim where I have been analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis. I will overanalyze, and overanalyze some things. And sometimes I just need to be more like Sniff and Scurry and get on out there and just do some things. How many of us are like that? We'll sit there and we will overanalyze situations as opposed to taking action. If you do not change, you can become extinct. So if you don't change, if you don't grow with the times, if you don't do things, let's move forward. It's kind of like sometimes you might find individuals that may be stuck on old technology. Is it because they can't afford the new technology, or is it because they haven't explored and stated, I want to upgrade my technology? These are things that come into play. Now, here's what happened. Hall woke up. Hall took action. He realized that they were never going to put yesterday's cheese back. So once that cheese is gone, nobody's going to put that cheese back. It was time to find new cheese, because once somebody takes it from you, once your job has shifted, once your careers have shifted, once your education, your things have shifted, it's time to find something new to move forward. It was time to move on. And sometimes we're in places and we get forced to move on, as opposed to us taking an opportunity when things change to make a positive pivot. Hall was scared, but it was manageable. He knew some fear was good. And when you talk about fear, we've often talked about it. What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. And also, what does it really mean when you're really nervous? It really means that it means something to you. Kind of when I work with some of my friends and clients and we're talking about preparing to speak, they ask, boy, are you ever nervous when you speak? I think when you talk to anybody that has been speaking for any length of time, they're going to always tell you they're nervous. Why are they nervous? They are nervous because they want to do a good job. So when you start looking at it that way, you begin to use that nervousness and that fear to really move you forward. So let's think about that. Next time you're nervous, that means it means something to you. If it didn't mean anything to you, you definitely would not be nervous. Here's another one. When Hall woke up, he imagined finding the cheese to help overcome his fears. It's kind of like when you look at graduation. If you think about it, when we were in high school, or if you're in high school now, your freshman year, 9th grade year, what was it that you were really looking forward to? Graduation. That was that cheese. Your cheese was that diploma. When we start college and you're looking for things, you're looking for little things as they go. We're having the milestones that come along. Ultimately, we're looking for that day to when it has it and you're actually graduating. It's kind of funny. One of my mentees, she's doing extremely well up there in North Carolina A&T. That's so Alexandria Irish, doing tremendously well. It was kind of funny, before she went off to college, we were watching and they had different parents that would just be dancing at graduation and they would really be celebrating. And sometimes we would laugh and be like, wow, I wonder why are they dancing so much? Now, when you go through your things and you have your chance to dance and celebrate your accomplishments and celebrate others, that's what you need to do. That's when Hall woke up. He realized change wasn't so bad. He was taking control of his destiny. It's kind of like, you look at it. Are you waiting for options to happen, or are you making them happen? My hashtag that I love to use is hashtag success is options. Why do I say that? Because the more options you have in life, the greater your chances are for success. Are you going out there and creating your own options, or are you waiting on others to create options for you? Create your own options. Let's wake up and stop hawing around this. What would you do if you were not afraid? Can you imagine what you would do if you were not afraid? Let's go back and look at children, the innocence of children. They do so many things. They go out there and they do things, and they are not afraid. Those are the things that they start dealing with. You start doing more when you're unafraid. Live unafraid. I'm not saying be reckless, but let's go out there and do things. Don't be afraid to succeed. That's one of my things. Sometimes success is one of my biggest fears. So let's go out there, not be fearful, and let's go over there and conquer the world. Let's go to our next level. Hall moved forward. Hall was making small advancements, which was better than being in a cheeseless situation. So even if it is a small step forward, you know, I have friends out there that are going through different health challenges and this type stuff. I love she's over there with Coral Springs Police Department. Shout out, young lady, you're doing well. I'm looking at it. She's always looking positive, making her small steps, and she's going out there and she's winning. That's what she's doing. And so she's making those small steps, and celebrate your small steps and you go for it. I like to look at the analogy. Can you imagine if we only were paid once a year, and that would be the only time we were paid on our job? But what happens? We get paid more frequently, so therefore we continue doing what we do. Here's what Hall did. He looked back at the situation and realized all along change was happening. The cheese was becoming old, stale, and depleted. So if you aren't doing anything to increase yourself or do anything, you are outdating yourself. It's kind of like we say in the game of life, if you aren't moving, you are definitely falling behind because everyone else is moving forward. Hall had been blinded by arrogance, just thought that he was outstanding, and complacency. How many times have we been blinded by our own arrogance and complacency, and we did not move forward? What you need to do is go out there, smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. Think about it. Do you have a vision board? Are you dreaming? If you stop dreaming, imagine what will happen to your kids, to my educators that are just going back to the classroom. We need to make sure we can do whatever we can do to support you, to make sure our educators are dreaming. Because when our educators are dreaming, then that means their students will feel that energy and they will grow and dream as well. Do you remember growing up when we used to play that game, That's My Car? What were we doing at that time? How many times have we driven through neighborhood and say, that's my house? We began to do that and put things forward. Personally, when I was 17, I told my dad that I wanted to retire at age 47. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And he said that I was about crazy because normally at that time, people are retiring at about 60, 65. But when you put things out there and you begin to let God work with you, it's no telling what will happen. Because with all of the things that happened from age 17, I was able to retire at age 47 and 3 months, enter into the deferred retirement option program at the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. So when you put things out there and you begin working and moving, you'll be surprised what happens. But if you don't ever put your goals out there and you keep them to yourself, you will be forever around there hemming and hawing. We need to be sniffing and scurrying. So now smell that cheese so that you can see what that success looks like for you. Go out there and look at the houses, look at the purses, look at the shoes. Go out there, look at your real estate investments, look at your stock portfolio, look at your things. Start dreaming about what those portfolios will look like so we can make those moves and go to the next level. The next one, what Hall did was committed to change. Because if you are just committed to staying who you are, change is what we need. And I often say the only people that like change is a baby. But let's look at it. Hall realized if he had moved earlier, it would have been easier to find the cheese. So you need to move earlier than later because the older we get, the slower we move. From now on, he would stay more alert. How many times have you been in something like, wow, I wish I would have known about that? That could mean you need to network a little bit more. Get with individuals that are moving forward. Get with individuals that are going for that cheese. Get with individuals that are really moving forward because birds of a feather flock together. So if you're in a group and everybody is moving forward, you will benefit from that. That's one of the benefits that I got when I joined Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We get in there with all these brothers that are college educated brothers that are trying to move forward. When you look at the Divine Nine, when you look at all of the organizations that are out there, we come together supporting each other and trying to move each other forward. Same with National Organization Black Law Enforcement Executives, National Forum for Black Public Administration. You have your doctors, you got your engineers. There's always an organization out there for like-minded individuals to help us go to the next level. You need to connect with them. because oftentimes one of the classes that I put on is everybody communicates, but few connect. We need to connect so that we can all move forward. Look at what's happening in these elections. By these individuals connecting with the public, they are being elected, and we're able to move our communities forward. Hall would not let himself get comfortable again. Do not get comfortable. Don't let yourself get comfortable. You can always be doing just a little bit more. Movement in a new direction helps you find new cheese. So sometimes you have to find that new cheese and move forward. What it was Hall let go of his fears, because once you let go of those fears and you can conquer your fears, that's where things begin to happen. Many times Hall felt like giving up. I don't know about you all, but sometimes I believe all of us at one time in our life or other felt like giving up. And sometimes people outside of us saw more in us than we saw in ourselves. So you have to look at it. Have you benefited from somebody seeing more in you than you saw in yourself? If so, reach back, tell them thank you. What you should then do is reach out to others that you see something in, so that you can let them know that you see more in them than they see in themselves. Then Hall was finally able to move beyond his fears. He was free of the past, because your past does not determine your future. That only tells you what you've dealt with. And many times when you have situations happen in your past, you need to review them. You need to look at them. You need to gain some insight from the things that have happened in your past, because once you gain that insight, you can use that insight to move yourself forward into new areas of your life. So look at that. Then he breathed a new life full of energy. He had more energy because now he's released those fears. It's kind of like when you go to the airport. If you've ever noticed, when you go to the airport and you get up there, I don't know whether any of y'all have been in that situation where you've been in line, you get there and you see people that are having to take out baggage from their luggage because it weighs too much. How many of us are trying to go to that next level, but because we have not prepared ourselves and we got too much luggage with us, we cannot go to that next level? This is the time that we need to start getting rid of some of that extra weight around us and going to that next level. Those are the things that we need to do. We need to get rid of some of that luggage and go to the next level. Here it is. When you move beyond your fear, you feel free. Next one, how imagine the change. How many times do you imagine that change? Your vision board. How many times do you imagine yourself losing weight, gaining weight, graduating, getting the next promotion, doing whatever it is, impacting, seeing the kids that you have mentored be successful? How many times have you really imagined that change? He revisited him and realized what he enjoyed was not the cheese, but it was the process of discovery. How many times have we wanted to get rid of the process? Kind of like going to the gym. Some people think that if you just go to the gym and watch others work out, that will benefit them. But when you go to the gym and you have a really good workout, the next day, or if you're like me, 2 days after, you're going to be sore. What does that mean? That means you are going through a process. Your brain is going through a process. Your body is going through a process. When it does that, that's what it is telling you. The pain hurts. Growth where pain begins, that's where growth begins. Then you also look ahead, and he looking ahead became more and more excited, because then you start looking at more and more of the possibilities. He said, wow, that's what I'm going to do. Imagining myself enjoying new cheese even before it was there for you. Can you imagine yourself in your new home? Can you imagine yourself being out of debt? Can you imagine the impact that you have on others when you see them succeed? Can you imagine the impact on your community when you engage them and you bring them all together? Those are the things that we're really pushing for. Hall let go of old beliefs. Hall realized that new beliefs were encouraging new behaviors. So when you have something new, then you act differently. And it's kind of like I even tell people, if you have a little baby girl, a little toddler, she can be 2 years old, or a little dude, and you have two little kids that are 2 years old. When you put that dress on that baby girl, she acts totally different. She becomes a model and a diva. You put a suit on that little boy, he becomes a debonair king. He is running the world. So how many of us are stuck with old beliefs that are stopping us from going to the next level? When you change what you believe, you change what you do. So a lot of times it all begins in our mind. It's all a state of mind. Then the quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese. So you think about it. If you are continuing to hold on to something that is old, that has been dragging you back, is it not time to let it go so that you can go to that next level? Let's think about it. Hall let go of old beliefs. What's stopping you from letting go from old beliefs? Hall also took risk to change. Hal realized that what he was afraid of was never as bad as what he imagined, because that's fear again. That's the things that are not even real. So you have to think about it. And it says that that's Invictus, being scared of the shade, the looms, but the darkness of the shade. That means there's nothing there, but nothing but the darkness of the shade. And we have to move forward because I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. This is what Hall did. He looked forward to finding new cheese. So what is new out there for us? What is it that we can actually find? What is it that we can kind of move towards and be like, wow, this is what we're looking for? It is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. So if you're in a situation and it is not moving you and it's not giving you what you want, jump out there in the maze, start looking for the other cheese, seeing what else is out there. You might even run into other people when you're out there in the maze that can help you get to where you wish to go. Hall let go of old thinking. Hall used to think about what could go wrong rather than what could go right. How many of us are like that? We think more about what could go wrong as opposed to what could go right if we did that. And right now, yes, I am preaching to myself, because many times I'm looking at things, I'm like, man, if I do this, this might blow up. But now if I do it and it goes right, can you imagine the impact that that could have on others? And you have to think about it. What is your purpose in life? What is your passion? When you're dealing with your passion, you must be looking at it. What can go right when you follow your passion? Hall realized he had to expect change because it is continuous. Nothing stays the same. Change is going to be happening. Old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese. You need to start getting new thoughts, going over there and getting the new beliefs. Hall woke up to reality as it is. Hall now realized he would have been in better shape if he had dealt with change sooner. How many times have we looked at that? From our health situation, how many times have we looked at and said, wow, I wish I would have gone to the doctor sooner? Some say, wow, I wish I would have started working out sooner. Well, let's look at it this way. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. When you see that you can find and enjoy new cheese, you change your course. Hall succeeds in finding new cheese by changing. So he changed. Noticing small changes early helps you adapt to the bigger changes that are to come. So it starts with the small ones so that you can prepare for the bigger ones. It doesn't just happen overnight. Hooray for that change. What was the cheese in this story? Or shall I say, what is the cheese in your story? This metaphor for what you want in life, whether it's a good job, loving relationship, money, health, spiritual peace, whatever it is, what is your cheese? What is the maze in the story? The maze is where you look for what you want in your work, family, and community. That's out there in the world, the maze. Why is it important to be a sniff or a scurry? These are some things that you might want to consider. Why it's important to be a sniff or a scurry, to get out there and do some things. Keep life simple. Do not overanalyze. Be flexible. Be ahead of business cycle. Remember, tomorrow is not promised to anyone. Use the past to plan the future. Imagine what you want. Here's some change from a personal and business perspective. Change is happening constantly. Change is about learning and growing. Change is also about controlling your fear. Here's some handwriting on the wall. Change happens. They keep moving the cheese. Anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. Monitor change. Adapt to change quickly. So here we are again. Change happens. Anticipate change. Monitor change and adapt to change quickly. Here's the other handwriting that was on the wall. Change. Move with the cheese. Enjoy change. Be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again and again. Move with the cheese and enjoy it. We've gone through the personalities and talking about it, and we have to watch those handwritings on the wall, because many times that handwriting on the wall is indicative of things that are happening to us. When we talk about it, how many of us are really out there and are talking about what we need to do? How are we doing it? How are we getting it done? Are we sitting around here hemming and hawing as opposed to getting out there and sniffing and scurrying? I will tell you, my brothers, my sisters that are out here that are looking to move forward and get things to that next level, we need to wonder, who moved my cheese? What is your cheese? And what are you going to do to go out there and get that cheese? I am Dr. Gregory Salters, and you have been seasoned for success.